attending this program with me, Medicail, Professor Karake, and others here in Morocco that have been handling this beautiful program. I'm here to speak on an appraisal of Nigerian health system development in the Fourth Republic in Nigeria, challenges, constraints, and perspective. This is the outline of my presentation. I will not bother to read through them again. So this is the outline of my presentation. You all know that Nigeria is a country that one of the largest, most populated countries in Africa. In fact, it's the largest with over 200 million people. Since 1999 that this Fourth Republic commenced in Nigeria, a lot of resources have been put into the health sector. But still, we still have a lot of challenges and problems with our healthcare delivery system. Despite the vast number of primary health institutions, tertiary health institutions that have been established over the last decade, we still have problems of lack of drugs, inadequate budgetary provision for the health sector, and we continue to mitigate against our healthcare development in Nigeria. Between 1999 and 2016, Nigeria 36 states collectively and their local governments spent about 55.36 trillion naira on this important sector, according to the budget estimate. What is the problem that I'm trying to analyze? This huge expenditure by various arms of government in the last decade has not translated to tangible results. Death of newborns still, and neonatal mortality is still at 37% in 1,000 live births, one of the highest in the world. Similarly, the number of women dying as a result of access to maternity care has been on the steady increase. All this has been the problem with Nigerian health sector. What is the objective of this paper? The objective is to carry out a detailed appraisal of Nigerian health system development in the Fourth Republic, discuss challenges and constraints of providing cheap and affordable health care for the population, to examine the impact and prospect for a better health sector. Conceptual clarification, the concept of health system. Health system development connotes a framework for health sector transformation. That is the various policies and programs that have been put in place to develop the health sector. Then the concept of socio-economic development means the programs and policies that have touched the life of the generality of the people. And then health reforms entails also the various programs and policies that have been put in place. We reviewed a lot of literature in this presentation, Aregbesola 2019, which criticized the Nigerian health sector because of the misplaced priorities. Most times, monies are thrown into personnel costs, into bogus buildings that lack drugs and the necessary infrastructure. The literature reviews have also talked about the various policies that have not had the direct bearing on improving the health sector. Also, the World Health Organization shows that despite all the money that has been put into the health sector in Nigeria, about 1 million Nigerian children still die at birth out of the 9 million infant deaths recorded globally. So despite all the resources that the Nigerian government have put into the health sector, we still have a lot of problems. The major point, according to Addyi 2014, is that the healthcare delivery system in Nigeria has issue of brain drain, in which trained medical personnel migrate en masse to other countries of the world. In fact, about 5,000 Nigerian doctors are said to be practicing in the United States alone. 5,000, which is really huge. The system theory was adopted for this presentation. The system theory, basically as propounded by Ludwig von Betrafani, 1901 to 1972, states that it is whatever you put in that you can reap, that you can get an output. So the more you put, the more output that you have. And he said that the system, according to Wendell, a system has 3 major levels: organizational level, personnel management level, development and training level. Once you optimize this, you can now develop your health system if you can take care of these 3 basic issues. This theory is very critical to this work because it captures the precarious health system challenges that Nigeria is facing. We are not putting the money into the right places, and that is why our health system is fraught with a lot of challenges. So the system has to improve. Methodology. Data for this work was got through secondary sources, including journals, books, magazines, dailies, internet, among others. Data were analyzed through the use of content analysis. All materials were duly acknowledged. The challenges of the health sector. This is the major work of this work. The major challenge that we have identified in this work is that allocation to the health sector is very low in Nigeria. The allocation is very low, far short of the African Union Abuja Declaration benchmark of 15% budget to the health sector. So the budget in Nigeria was 3% as of 2022, 6% by 2028. So the World Bank was as cited in Addyi. If you look at this table, you will see that defense has 11.8%, education has 7.9%, health 5%. That shows you the priority that our government put into the healthcare system, which is not good enough. Government needs to do a lot, especially in terms of provision of healthcare. If you look at this graph, over the last how many years? Over from 2010 to 2025, you see the funding in the healthcare allocation. It goes up, but it has never crossed 6.07, which was in 2014. You can see the graph, you see. So we are not throwing enough money into the health system, especially through budgeting. It stagnates between 5.8% and 4.77%. So it's not even close to the threshold. Another very serious issue is the issue of capital funding. Most of the money for health system in Nigeria are funding recurrent expenditure, salaries, allowances of health workers, and so on. Is 32%, where basic health fund is basically 9%. Service-wide vote is 11%, and you can see recurrent expenditure, 48%. So you see the whole money is going into recurrent expenditure. So no real money is going into capital projects. If you look at this table, you see the funding gap, the health funding gap. As you can see, in 2015, there was a gap of 395 billion naira. 2016, 640. And down, you can see that there's a lot of gap. This is from the budget office of Nigeria. So there's a lot of funding gap. If you look at state allocation, look at the gap. Abia State, 15.53. Anambra State, Bayelsa State, look at Benue State, but it's not available. Borno State, 9.4. So even at the subnational, at the state level, the funding gap has a lot of issues. So, and that is why our healthcare delivery in Nigeria have a lot of. So it's not just at the federal level, at the state level, the funding gap exists, and this is the breakdown. We look at all the 36 states, and this source from the budget research unit. Another challenge is the reliance on foreign donors. Nigeria, like most African countries, rely on foreign donations from various international agencies, whether the World Bank or the USAID. Luckily, Trump has come to stop USAID funding in many African countries or developing countries. I think it's also a very good very good step by the American government, so that our leaders can look inward and fund our activities. Now, if you see that, so the reliance, you look at the reliance, World Bank, if you look at World Bank spent at the federal level, spent about $8.0 million US in the last, as of 2022. Look at United Nations Fund for Population Activity 3.0, Japanese Agency for International Development 3.0. At the state, look at what they have spent. At the local government, look at what they have spent. Look at DFID 5.0. Look at USAID 40.0 at state level and 80.0 at national level. So all this shows that our health system is still receiving shock treatment from development partners, which is not good enough. I don't know whether in Morocco you experience that, but that is what we experience in Nigeria. Even during the COVID-19, we have to rely more on foreign donations. Okay. Our traditional medical practice is very good. We have very, very good traditional medicine for treatment of malaria, for treatment of all kinds of sickness, but they are not developed. So one of the challenges is that we need to develop and modernize our traditional medical practice or alternative medicine. That has not been done, and as Africans, we must look at our alternative medicine practice and develop them. We have enough herbs, we have enough medicine in Africa to cure many of the illnesses. We do not need to depend on European or foreign medical drugs to sustain ourselves. The national health policy in Nigeria has not been properly implemented, which is a major problem. As you can see, the Act provided a 1% consolidated revenue fund for provision of healthcare to Nigerians. But these funds have not been properly implemented, which is a very serious indictment on the Nigerian. Then our cultural and religious beliefs. Because of many times our culture, we hardly look at, we hardly do not, when government wants to introduce reforms, it is resisted. Things like genital female mutilation is still very high in Nigeria, and several other illnesses, some as a result of either religious belief or propaganda. They don't allow their children to take polio vaccine, which is a major issue. So the religious and cultural belief have a lot of impact. Then brain drain. A lot of Nigerians are moving out. As I said earlier, about 5,000 doctors in the US alone. Many Nigerians, after billions of naira are spent in training doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, most of them, in Nigeria we call it Japa, that is moving, migrating to better places in search of better working conditions and aid. If you look at this graph from 2025 to 2022, at the peak, 3,000 Nigerian doctors moved abroad by 2022. Look at from 2025, 2,334, 1,000 by 2028, 1,045, and so on. If you look at the destination, if you look at USA, 1,301 as of 2022. Look at the Ireland, 217. The UK, about 1,918 for nurses and midwives. Sorry, this is for physiotherapists. So you can see all these are people that are moving in, medical practitioners that are moving in. Our infrastructure is also dilapidated in most of our hospitals. Sometimes even things like electricity to power intensive care unit is unavailable. And this is a major challenge. Despite all this, government have tried in the last 10 years. But the private sector has, I want to state that the private sector has helped the development of healthcare in Nigeria. We have hospitals like Nisa Premier, Nizameye Hospital, Eco Hospital. These are private hospitals that can compete with any hospital anywhere in the world. Moroccans and other Africans can come to Nigeria. The population is there. Come and invest in medical sciences. You are going to reap the benefit. Premier Nizameye is a Turkish hospital built by the Turkish, and they are doing very well in Nigeria. So that's opportunity. Oh yes, I will try and conclude.
Yes, because we
okay. So the government has also established a lot of medical centers, though most of them are still not properly funded. In conclusion, the government has budgeted a lot of money in the implementation of health policies, but corruption, migration, personnel, poor infrastructure, cultural and religious belief, inability to develop traditional medicine has been a major problem. The government should try to pay more attention to the health sector and achieve all this. Recommendation, faithful implementation of national health policy, the government should do that. If it implements it, it will get about 60.6 billion annually, which will be go far. Increase in budget allocation to health sector. The government should make sure they meet the 15% threshold set by the African Union. Proper regulation of transitional medicine, NAFDAC, and other agencies should be empowered to regulate traditional medicine. Remuneration of health workers, what is making them to go abroad is the remuneration and pay package, which is often lead to a lot of strike by Nigerian health workers. If their remuneration is brought to standard, they will not go out again. Emphasis should be placed on preventable diseases. So it's better to, as the term, the popular market, prevention is always better than cure. So we should emphasize on preventive medicine. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate your invitation.